And this is a letter dated the 6th of April 2017, so only 2 or so months before the Grenfell Tower fire, to Mrs. Laura Johnson, Director of Housing at Kensington. Dear Mrs. Johnson, tall buildings, external fire spread. And just looking at that and looking at the shape of the document, are you familiar with this?
No, sorry, I'm not.
You've never seen it before?
No, I haven't, sorry.
Do you know what plans the LFB had in place to ensure that firefighters at all levels understood the risk identified in this letter?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't think we would have trained our firefighters in specifically in relation to this risk, because this was obviously talking about people in local authorities assessing the buildings in their possession. So firefighters all received a training package from the Lacanau fire, both right from people on watches as well as officers, around the risks of external fire spread. But I'm not aware of any training we did in specific relation to this letter, no.
Right. Does that not indicate to you that an important risk around high-rise residential blocks was not being briefed to operational firefighters on the front line in your brigade?
No, I don't think that's the case, because I think this is the same as Lacanau House. It's external fire spread unpredicted, which was a training package that was developed. So although Shepherd's Court was a different fire, they still faced the same hazards effectively of failing panels, the risk of those falling, the risk of fire spreading. So this isn't a case of that. What we wouldn't seek to do, it would be very difficult that every single time there was a different fire, we'd develop another training package for that, because this is about the risk of external fire spread, which was covered in that training package. So there's no, I can answer that in 2 parts, if that would help. So the first part about being able to assess that risk, firefighters, senior officers, myself would not be able to assess that risk. So once again, I go back to the point that I couldn't look at a building now with external cladding on it and assess whether or not that was combustible, because we don't have the ability to be able to do that. It's subject to obviously a flame and a panel test to conclude that, so we wouldn't be able to assess that ourselves.
Given their responses and given your own expectation, how do you tally that up with the fact that the risk of fire spread across clad facades was on the LFB's radar by at latest April 2017?
So the fact that it's a risk and a known risk is a difference to how you mitigate that risk and how you respond to that risk. No, I can't say that, because my firefighters would never be able to recognise what cladding was flammable. That's the point for me. You know, any one of us could not recognise what cladding is flammable, because it shouldn't be flammable. They need to understand the risk of how to extinguish a fire, and that's what we train them for as professional officers, to assess the situation and to put a fire out.
But if they don't know what they're seeing, because the risk hasn't been brought to their attention, how can they deal with it?
Because they will deal with what they see and respond. They saw a fire on the outside of a building and they will attempt to extinguish it. Even if they'd known it was a cladding fire, it wouldn't have made any difference to the response of how they were trying to extinguish it. The only means we have available is water. Unfortunately, when you spray water at rainproof cladding, it then becomes very difficult to extinguish a fire.
So do I take it from all of what you've been telling me over the last 5 minutes that although the risk was on the LFB's radar, it was brought to the attention of local authorities, but the London Fire Brigade didn't itself adopt or adapt any of its own training or information in order to be able to alert firefighters to the particular risk?
No, we didn't that time.